Welcome to the Brain Factor Podcast with Joy and Laura, powered by Meridian Healthcare, approaching wellness with heart, one life at a time, one community at a time. This is a science-based conversation about real life. Our goal? To leave you with a few nuggets of wisdom, smile on your face, and maybe even a laugh or two. So let's jump in. Welcome to the Brain Factor. Today we're speaking with Lauren Cohn, and Lauren is the CEO of one of them, or the largest community mental health system in our region. So probably in Florida.
The North Central Florida.
North Central Florida. Yeah. So we're super excited. Lauren is wrapping up her first year as CEO, which is super exciting. We're going to learn all about, her role and how that's impacted her mental health or not impacted it. We'll see what comes out in the wash here. But just to say, so Lauren, it is her first year, but she's been involved at Meridian for a very long time. She was the executive vice president, chief operating officer, and before that, in charge of QI, is a senior vice president at quality control. So she's got a lot of history with Meridian, who is our sponsor. That's the other thing. We're like, well, let's let you meet who pays for our podcasts to bring all this goodness to you every month. So Laura's back with us. Yay. I'm super excited about that. She was on a little vacation, so now she's back here with us.
And I'm excited. And what a day to come back, too. So this is an exciting day to come back.
Yeah. So we just wanted to talk about the mental health landscape. We want to learn what you've learned, what Meridian does, like all these things. I'm so excited about the trends that are happening in mental health and what you learned in your first year, what lessons you walked away with. So let's start there.
Tell us. This is like the recap, the elevator speech of the first year. Tell us. Okay. Well, I want to say thank you for having me as a listener and a friend and supporter. I'm excited to be here. And it has been a whirlwind of a year, I will tell you. I couldn't even believe it was approaching a year. It seems to have gone by in the blink of an eye. Having been at Meridian for 8 years, it feels like, it's home. Mm-hmm. So there was that comfort level, but in a totally different position, different perspective. So,
3,000. So
yes. So the first year has been exciting, terrifying, fun, scary, and quick. All of it. It's all of the things. That's what I say. The first year has been all of the things. So I think, in that time, I really tried to approach it as a time of learning. Having the institutional organizational knowledge was great because I didn't have to invest there. Right. So I didn't have to invest time in just learning the organization and the community. Right. So I had that. So I really was trying to focus on a time of learning the expectations, the relationships, and the higher level view, I think. So that's been a lot of the year, working with the team, building a new team, bringing on some new members of the team, looking at what, some of it is what do I want to do, right? What do I want to do to further our mission, of course, with always that in mind. But, what are some opportunities? Mm-hmm. There's always some things that you have to keep doing, but what are the new things that we could do to continue to create a work culture and an organization that is what we want it to be?
So I know you just said it's been kind of a roller coaster year,
yeah,
exciting and scary and all of that. So I also know I've been a CEO before and as well. So I feel you in that first year. But I'm wondering, how did you manage your self-care and boundaries and things like that? Because I know maybe some of you don't know, but as the CEO, especially within a mental health care system, you have to be really compassionate. You also have to have this really strong business acumen. You've got to know all these things, and you're responsible for the finances and making sure the company is solvent so that you can provide the resources, but also doing all of that with keeping in the scope of, I love these people that we're trying to help.
Yeah.
go for you? And how did you, I know it's
It's a work in progress. I mean,
compete,
know,
then you got to like take time to get your nails done or something.
yeah. I mean, anyone who knows me probably knows I'm not the greatest at self-care. So, that's something that's a work in progress.
But you're learning.
But I'm learning from the podcast lots of tips on how to prioritize that. I think, looking at balancing everything. Initially, when I took this position the first couple months, I thought, will I sleep again? I don't, one doesn't know.
Right.
maybe not. What's the new normal look like? And then, of course, yes. I think for me, one of the biggest lessons that I learned that helped with that is surrounding yourself with the right people and how important your team is. Because I cannot do anything alone. It is not a one-person show. So if that's the expectation, then I won't ever sleep again, right? But having the right people, the right talent, the right team is so critical. So you can trust what's happening outside of your office and your immediate control, right? So that's been a big one. As far as, keeping my mental health intact, I have, I always say that I have one of the greatest bosses in the world, and that's my daughter. And so she is fantastic, but she helps me keep those things in check because she's very good at saying this is my time, and she's a light, a joy. And so I think that's always great for a mental health boost is taking that time.
I know you spend a lot of family time with, with your mom and your kids. And so I know that helps you balance, and you travel.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, I try to.
That's like intentional self-care that brings you along. You might be a little better at it.
Maybe I am. You're right. It's some of those things I maybe wasn't thinking of, but yeah, absolutely. I think, family time for me is that sort of stress, management type of activity.
Yeah. Really cool. I want to talk about, if we can for a minute, the women in leadership. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So that is a real thing.
It is
different sets of pressures. There's different expectations, different. Sure. And Meridian has a long history that involves women in leadership. So
we do.
So what have you drawn from either that history, or are there other women in leadership that have inspired you, and where do you think that's relevant, and how do you?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? That's a great topic. I think for all of us, female leaders, I think it's something that we think about and are very aware of, and is a very prevalent theme in career growth and management. For me, the reason I moved to Gainesville and wanted to work at Meridian was because of the former CEO, Maggie Labarda, at the time, a wonderful mentor, female leader I had known from conferences, from speaking engagements, and a friend had said, we have a position that sounds right up your alley. And I said, Maggie would be my boss. And that's a huge motivating factor, because
the reason I went to work.
Yes. So I was like a female CEO with a family, incredibly accomplished, incredibly, compassionate, knowledgeable, and successful, right? So how much could I learn from that mentorship and that work environment, and one that I knew was supportive of female growth and leaders, having spent time in places where there were primarily male-dominated boardrooms and male-dominated committees and leadership groups. It was very refreshing to come with the diversity that Meridian was presenting, and I thought, this is somewhere that I think I want to be, and that actually you got me, and I was. And turns out it's a place I've called home for 8 years, and I'm really happy about that move, and I have learned quite a bit in regards to that balancing your personal and professional life, your family, a lot about the expectations that we feel as women versus I'm sure men or other individuals that aren't concerned with those pressures necessarily.
I'm hearing lots of protective factors that she's hitting on. Absolutely. Strong mentor relationships, community support, family support.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, that's one of the things that I would say to new women that are coming up and growing in the field or any field in business and leadership, that those are some of the things that were critical for me, was having a great mentor and a supporter. And I always try to do that and lift people up, because I had a lot of people that did that for me, that, lifted me up by teaching me, by providing an opportunity, by answering questions, providing that guidance when needed. That's been a great one. And then, not being afraid to ask for help. I think a lot of times we think if we ask for help, it means we can't do something, where we're not doing it to the level we want to be or need to be. And so there's a lot of that internal intrinsic pressure. But I think being able to ask for help, I ask for help all the time from my team at work and from my team at home, which is fortunately, without having that support too, I think it would be very difficult.
Sure.
Yeah.
What was your biggest surprise in your first year? Like, did you pull back the curtain and you don't have to tell us anything that you're not allowed to tell us? Yeah. But I get like, wow, I'm great at this, or I stink at this, or what's going on?
There's been a lot of surprises. Some have been good, that I found myself capable of doing things I might not have anticipated or thought that I would be able to do. Or, I thought I could, but maybe I was able to do it better than I originally thought. There were some surprises about just the nature of business relationships and how to navigate that. That's surprising. The importance of a team. I always knew how important it was, but how critical the talent around you has been maybe not a surprise, but just something that has risen to the top, that wow, it's really crucial that you have people you can count on and trust and that can deliver.
Yeah. Well, it's a great team. I remember when I first started there as an SVP and going into the executive team meetings, it was one of, and I'm not slighting any other jobs I had in the past, but this was the time when I walked into a room and I sat down and I went, these people are all smarter than me. Who's something? I don't know what is going on here. I'm like, it's like, it was a really impressive team. And then the self-deprivation and all of that came in, like, what am I doing here? Are those an imposter? Comes to get down is, because it is a really great executive team you have there. And I know some of the members have changed.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's still the same.
It is. It's a really, really great team. And there's a cohesion and a collaborative nature that is, so critical. So yeah, I'm very, very lucky in that respect. And I think that also made this transition a little more comfortable, for everyone, because of that nature. And I already had a lot of great relationships with the team existing, and we have brought on some new members, which has just made our team stronger. But yeah, that's definitely been a critical factor in this position and making that transition, reflecting on the first year.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, you have the unique perspective of having been there 8 years.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're sort of watching from one seat and then having the aspirations and preparing to go into the next seat. Was there something you were particularly excited to be able to get your hands on that maybe you didn't have before? I know you rebranded. I know there was some workforce development. Was there something you were like very excited, like, I'm going to put the Lauren in this,
That's a really great question. And I will tell you, at first, when our former CEO, Don, sort of announced his retirement, I was saying, wait, this doesn't fit my timeline. Let's make this about me. And I wasn't ready for you to retire just yet. And then once I got past that and wrapped my head around it, then, the nerves and can I do this and all of the, imposter syndrome things. And then there's an excitement phase where you're like, oh, but wait, that means I could, make more decisions in a particular area.
Sure.
For me, it is the workforce engagement, the employee engagement piece that I feel like was a real opportunity for us. And so that was something I was very excited to be able to get in and do.
Yeah. Because that ultimately improves outcomes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For the community.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you mentioned sort of when you were giving your recap in the beginning, you mentioned culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the culture of Mook? Like, what are you building there?
What we're trying to build, I mean, we have work to do, of course, as anybody, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I have all the answers and we're perfect. But I think, a culture that I would like to foster that goes along with our values and our mission and our rebrand, is a place where everyone can come and do their best work, where everyone can come and use all of their skills and talents, be afforded the resources and the support to do just that, and then provide great care to our clients. That's really critical. Come every day. The work that we do is hard. The work that our staff do, I love our staff. I mean, I really, truly do. We don't have, and I say this, many times, but we don't have a product. We don't make something. People are our business. They are. Yes. And I think we've got some really, really fantastic people. And so I think what I'd like to do is just create a culture that supports them in doing what they do best, and providing all the tools and supports to do that, and then have a little fun too. I'm someone who really likes to laugh. If you know me, I like to laugh. I like to try to keep things light where you can, because we do so much that's heavy. And so I think that's something too, is how can we all work together.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I know the mental health landscape, and I was at Meridian when the pandemic unfortunately hit. But if I had to find a silver lining, and there's no silver lining for that pandemic, but if I had to find something, the lesson that came from it is that mental health started to broaden the perceptions of it. There were just everyday regular Joes now going, oh, my mental health is struggling. Yeah. There's the awareness. Just like, you weren't just crazy. Everybody has these issues, and it just became more predominant in society. And that opened up, because I know when I first started there, it was still like, oh, no, you can't say that or anything. And we normalized started, and because we had to. Laura always has the right words.
Yes.
Normalize mental health. Well, this is why we keep you around. Has all the Zolpic words. Yeah. So how's it gone? Zita Ben, is it continuing in that direction? What's changing? What are the recently? So what are
I think it is. Is it at the warp speed we were hoping, to continue that trajectory? Of course not, right? Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. I think after the pandemic, I found myself in social settings where people were talking about their therapists, I have, do you need, you have a therapist? I got someone for you. And completely open, or lessons they had learned. Well, my therapist would say that means such and such. And I think we were seeing more conversation be comfortable out in the open, and people sharing their experiences.
Generations.
Absolutely.
Younger millennials, kind of get better with it anyway. But now you're like Gen Xer, or there's a boomer. Do you have a therapist I could use?
I am like a millennial with a boomer heart. I have the mind. I lean towards boomer. This is me. But yes, I think seeing more of that open conversation and normalizing what people were going through and their experiences, and normalizing talking about it and seeking help. Yeah. That there was no longer this extreme perception of, if you're getting help, there's some perceived weakness or some fault or blame associated with that. Mm-hmm. That really, it was a place where you could speak openly. We see there are people my daughter's age saying, talking about, well, I can't have a therapist on that day. And you're like, okay. And I think that's great, right? Because then you're sort of setting the stage that if you have a struggle or a challenge, it's okay to ask for help and to talk about it. Mm-hmm. So I think that really helped broaden the horizon and the conversation.
Yeah. And I think that's because if you look at the Gen Zs and you look at the age they were when the pandemic hit, right?
Yeah.
Like we had already done, Gen X's and millennials already said it's okay to not be okay, but we had been not really on the side, right? And we didn't put that into practice. And then Gen Z, oh, that's what that means. And so now I think we're seeing that, and then that's continuing with the alphas as well.
Yeah, I would agree, definitely. So, some of that progress has continued. Of course, I think there's still more to be done, especially maybe in the substance use landscape too,
Sure.
where that stigma and belief system is a little bit harder to change.
Yeah, that is. That definitely is.
So I think that's what we're doing every day, right? With the work that we do and the education awareness and, how we're talking about things, what language we're using. And
Well, I think when I first started there, one of the, because I was hired by your predecessor, One Up, Maggie. And I remember going on a tour with her through the buildings, and we were at the medication-assisted treatment program. And I was just talking about it, telling me about it. And then she told me the percentage of people who become addicted to drugs because of a prescription from their doctor. So it was so high. I can't remember what it was, but it was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, and I knew that happened, but I probably had a little bit of perception issue at that time too. I was never one to think down or anything on anybody for their struggles, but I hadn't realized like the majority of people.
Yeah, I mean, we always say that substance use and addiction, it came from, really don't know boundaries. There are people from all socioeconomic status, communities, anything that are impacted by that. And I think that story sharing is critical too, right? So people aren't feeling alone, and help is out there. So I think a lot of that normalizing conversation, sharing stories, highlighting experiences is something that's still ongoing that we need to do.
What's one thing? I know that when people think of Meridian, they think of the CSUs, and they think of maybe some outpatient counseling, right?
What's stabilization units,
hospitalization? So what's one thing you wish that more people knew about Meridian, about how they can engage with Meridian, and this question is in their community, resource-wise?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because I get a lot of questions or feedback, particularly on our crisis services. Almost that, that's what's prevalent out there, where a crisis center, where for times of crisis.
Those are life-saving points.
Absolutely, they are. So I don't want to, diminish that, because I think what we do is critical in that area. But there is so much more to Meridian than that. We have a breadth of services and supports for individuals really at any stage in these challenges. We have deep end crisis services, but we also have community support. We have our co-responder program, where you've got clinicians riding along with law enforcement. We have traditional counseling, but we have family counseling. And you don't have to be in crisis to need to talk to someone. So those are things. We've got a veterans program that works to provide housing supports. So there's a lot more to Meridian than those programs. So I think, I always say we've got something for everyone that's going through anything related to this type of mental health, substance use challenge, wellness related. We do primary care. I mean, we have a lot of services out there for those in need, but it's really for anyone. I also get a lot of feedback, and somebody once told me, I think what you do is so important, and I'm so glad you're there for those people that made it. And I was like,
we're there for you too.
I know. I was like, great, those people. And I said, well, I'm glad we're there for those people too, but we're really here for all people. And they're really, yes, that we really have a wide array of services for everyone that is finding themselves looking for this type of help, or wanting to do a check-in on your mental health, and it's struggling with a particular area of your life. We've got something for that. So I think that's one other thing I'd like to put out there, is that we're really for everyone.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, since we're in North Central Florida, which is mainly where Meridian serves, although they do telehealth throughout the entire state of Florida, this will be relevant in your community too, throughout this country. If you can look for your community mental health centers, now they're not all built the same way, and they don't have all the same programs, or and things can vary. But it is a good place to start, and this type of service is available throughout.
Yeah, and along those lines, what was the designation that Meridian got several years ago? It was the community
Yeah,
behavioral.
the CCBHC.
Okay,
That's right.
Yes.
CCBHC.
Is the Certified Community Behavioral Health Center.
okay.
We're lousy with acronyms.
And so that's I wanted to share that just for the our viewers and our listeners outside of the area, right? So you may have one of those in your area, and you're going to find that wide array of services that's really community based. You're going to find the prevention programs in the schools. You're going to find the job placement programs, the transitional housing, the methadone clinics. You're going to find all of that stuff that we're talking about that goes beyond sort of the perception. Oh, that's the place you go to in that deep crisis. It is, but it's also a community center at its core. Yeah, so those exist everywhere. Yeah, but I think this area is really fortunate to have a place that.
I think a lot of, like Meridian, the reason community mental health centers are seen more as crisis base or the hospitalization, that type of thing. I think that's how they grew up.
Sure.
Before there was positive psychology.
And that's
what it is. Yeah. And it's what's visible. It is, so that persists sometimes.
It is. That tends to be what is getting the most attention at a particular moment. And some of the other programs are quieter. And so about their benefits and effectiveness. So that definitely can create the perception that that's the primary service. But I would agree. CCBHCs really provide a wide array. There's some core principles involved that you're providing that, vast continuum of care. So seek out, if you are in another community, seek out your local CCBHC.
What is, you were wrapping down our time, but what is next for Meridian? And then what is next for Lauren?
Yes.
So
Okay. So Meridian, we are continuing to daily do what we do. What we do best is continue to serve those in need, everyone that we can in the communities that we're in, continue to grow, continue to identify new opportunities to innovate. Needs are ever growing and changing. What can we do to continue to evolve as well and support those needs? How can we collaborate with our community partners? I think that's something we really want to look to also is, the times now, no organization is all things to all people, right? So how can we work collaboratively with our partners in the community and subject matter experts in delivering care and meeting individual needs differently, right? So that's for us. We're continuing to expand our medication-assisted treatment services, our criminal justice diversion services, and we are located. We have 13 counties. So we really want to continue to support all of those counties in new and effective ways. So that's what we've got going on now. For me, it's continuing to build relationships in these communities in this role that I'm in, continue to grow. I don't want to go anywhere. I love Meridian, so I plan on being there a very long time, as long as they will have me. So continuing to grow our organization and be that workplace of choice, be that center of excellence, continue to deliver. I say deliver on the promises that we make daily to those we serve.
I'm excited because I know you're a young leader, really.
Yes.
Yeah, you are.
For sure.
So I think that she said, yeah, thank you so much. You're so young. But you have a long tenure, I foresee, at Meridian, and strong, compassionate, skilled leadership over a very long time has so many benefits and excites me so much for the community. So I get goosebumps.
Me too. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's exactly the goal, right? Is to really grow, spend that time using the relationships you foster over time and become that trusted expert. And
like Maggie Labarda was for 19 years.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And she was able to bring Ariane so far, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is cool.
See where you're going to go.
Yeah.
Well, and in keeping with that vein, as a hands-on leader, those of you who want to hear more from Lauren, as we do, she's going to stick around for a couple of months as a co-host and join us on the next podcast.
Yeah.
So
I think the next one is don't be your
we're going to want about
not being anxiety.
Yes.
You're not your own anxiety.
That'll make so much more sense next month, I promise. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It was great. I'm looking forward to chiming in more on the future episodes too.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us today on this episode of The Brain Factor. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to The Brain Factor. Joy and I are so thrilled to be having these needed conversations. We'd love to hear your feedback on this episode, so if you could drop a comment or leave a review with your thoughts or any requests that you may have, it would be appreciated. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Living a healthier and happier life starts with one step, and we're excited to be on this journey with you. Until next time.